guys, it's Lauren with Sweet Home Sewing, and I am back. We are going to be sewing block 5, the Lucky Star, designed by Camille Ross Kelly for the Designer Mystery Block of the month 5, block 5. We are going to go ahead and start sewing that one. But first, we need to take our A squares, and we're going to create 2 half square triangles at a time. I'm going to show you how I mark mine, and some people mark theirs down the middle. I mark mine different. So I'm going to pan y'all down. So y'all look down. I'm actually going to move y'all a little bit closer. So some people do this, some people don't. I do it this way. Some people will just go corner to corner and then sew a 1/4 inch on each line. I don't do that because my brain sometimes goes off into la la land and I might sew on that line. So what I do is on my ruler I have a 1/4 inch. That dotted line you can see right here is my 1/4 inch. So what I do is I put that dotted line corner to corner, and that tells me I have a 1/4 inch from that middle, and then I mark my line. Turn it over, do the same thing to the next line. And when I do that, this line right here, it'll be like this white dotted line, dashed line or whatever. It will line up perfectly with my drawn line if I drawn it correctly. And then when we sew, I will actually sew about 1 stitch width, stitch length, whatever, to the inside of that line. And I'll do that on both sides. So I won't sew right on this line. I will actually sew about 1 or 2 widths of thread over. So and I am just using, it's just a Bic Velocity 0.7 pencil. You can use any pencil. Some people use the erasable pens. Some people I just use a pencil. I can get a better, finer mark with a pencil than I can some of these markers, even some of the pens. Okay, so now we have all of our squares. Then we're going to take our F squares and we're going to take them over to the sewing machine. Matter of fact, let me move y'all over to the sewing machine. I'll be right back. I got to figure out something with that. This is a newer stand, but it's that way I'm not having to bump y'all or anything else, and hopefully this gives y'all a better view. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take, and of course our wrong side, this is a low volume, and that camera is so much better than my other. Wow, it's crisp. So this is our low volume, or our tone on tone volume. It's our wrong side. That's where we have our lines. We're just going to match these up. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm not going to get mine. I'm going to sew. Can y'all see? Hold on, let me see. I'm going to try to move y'all. Okay, hopefully that can be better. So what I'm going to do is I put my thread, and I know where my foot is. I put the edge of my foot just right here from where I have it, and then I'm going to sew. Oh, you know what, I changed mine since then, but that's okay. So we're just going to sew just to the inside of that line. You don't want to sew on the outside because then you're going to end up, because this is where your square is going to be. You would rather it be too big than too small. So any part that you're going to be cutting off, you want to sew towards that way. So I hope y'all can see that. Let me move y'all over a little. Okay, hopefully that's going to be enough for y'all. I can't get it right in front. I might be able to. Hold on. Okay, let's see if this works. I have y'all right in front of me. That way y'all can kind of see where my foot is and all that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip them, and then I'm going to turn them around. And we're going to do the other side now. This is going to be a little tricky because I was right there on that line. I didn't want it, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. There's probably still going to be plenty of room to trim these down. And mine are bigger than like, because I put my foot right on that line, so mine are actually a little bit bigger on my stitch, but that's okay. They're going to have to be trimmed down anyways, so, okay. Now I'm going to take you over to the cutting table and we're going to cut them, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ruler with the 1/4 inch, and I'm going to put that 1/4 inch right there on that marked line and cut in half. And we are going to actually be pressing towards the orange fabric. Okay, so there's all my half square triangles. So I'm going to take them over there, get them trimmed, and then get them pressed towards the orange, and I'll be right back. And I'm going to show you how to trim using a square. So I'll be right back. Okay, this one shows a little bit better. I'm trying to move y'all closer. Y'all, I'm sorry. I can't figure out a good way to do this. Okay, that looks better. The other one don't want to move as much. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we have to trim these down to 2.5. You can see I have, and this is if the people don't have the perfectly slotted trimmer, they don't have the block lock, nothing like that. I have a square, and it has my diagonal, corner to corner, and so I make sure my diagonal is right there on my diagonal on my square. Well, here's what size I need to trim it to. And I have all this extra, so I make sure my line is lined up and I trim. Now I could use a rotating cutting mat, but you know, I make things harder, so I'll flip it. Now I'm going to make sure my lines match with my 2.5 and my middle line matches right there. Then I'm going to finish cutting around the other two sides. And now I have a perfectly squared 2.5 inch half square triangle. I'm going to go ahead and do these. I'm going to fast forward as I do them, but it's going to be the same concept. First thing I do before I cut anything on the first cut, I match that up. Because if you match that diagonal up, you know it's going to be square. That way when you turn it over, now you can match up not only your diagonal, but your 2.5 lines on both the side and the bottom. Just like that. So I'm going to fast forward and I will see y'all here in a minute. Okay, now we have all of our half square triangles. So now we're going to go ahead and make our first unit. So let's head back over to the sewing machine. Okay guys, we are going to get our other pieces. And we're just going to basically make a simple 4-patch. So we are going to take our D low volumes. So our blocks are going to be this way right here. Where's my other? It's going to be this way, and then our B is going to be here. So we're going to make 4 of these blocks right here. Okay, now I'm going to go press towards the squares that we added to the low volume square and then our tone on tone, and whenever I do that I will meet y'all back over here and we'll put these little 4 patches together. I'll be right back. Okay, so now what we're going to do, since we pressed toward these squares, our seams are going to nest. If you see how those seams, one's going one way, one's going the next, those seams are going to nest right there just beautifully in the middle. And that means we will get a nice, really nice point. Let me press this for you and I'll show you. So you can see right there, it's a nice and real pretty crisp point. So we're going to do that with all of our pieces. Our orange points are going to meet in the middle. We're going to nest those seams and just sew a straight line. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these to the sewing machine, to the iron, and I'm going to press these down, and then we will make it back over here to make up our next little unit. So I'll be right back. Okay, here we have all 4 of our units. So next we are going to get our H and G squares, and we're just going to sew these together. Okay, we are going to be pressing this up towards the green, and then we'll be right back with our next step. Okay, so now we're actually going to be assembling our blocks. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to be sewing these top 2 together. And what it is, just like the last time, you can see our seams, they'll just pop right there in place, and we are going to sew. Now if you want to trim those, you can where those seams meet. I don't. I used to pin a lot. I don't pin as much as I used to, but that's okay. I mean, it's whatever you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with holding it like that, then don't do it. Our next section is we're going to take our D square and sew it. So all of our green are going to be pointed out. Okay, now we're at the bottom square. You're going to make sure your squares are where they need to be. I am going to press, how am I going to press these? So we're going to be pressing towards the green and white strips. So let me press towards there and I'll be right back. Okay, now put our other side. Remember, pay attention to your outer corners, because all of our low volumes are going to be in all of the corners. Nest that seam and then line that up. And so our last green and white, or green and orange strip to that center square. Always try to make sure it is even, not even just with the square, but even with the rest of the piece also, so it doesn't get wonky. sure to turn that. Okay, I'm going to go press these towards the green and orange strips, and I'll be right back. Okay, now it's time to assemble these 3 rows. And because since we pressed towards the orange, our seams will line up. All of them actually, because you're going to have 4 seams. You can see all those seams. So we're going to line them up. What I do is I line my first seam up. I don't worry about these first. I line that first seam up. Sew it, then come to the second, line it up, and I kind of hold this in place. Just to make sure it doesn't slip. That way I'm not putting my fingers right there in that way. And make sure the edge of that is lined up. And I'm going to be pressing towards the middle, so I'll be right back. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with this one. Now you might want to, as you're sewing, or before you start sewing, you may want to pin all of your, like all where they nest, all your nesting seams. You may want to do that and pin them up, and you don't have to worry about that. This is just the way I do it now. I used to do all of mine, and now this is just the way I do it. I don't know why, I just do it this way. But you do however it feels comfortable for you. Okay, after we do this, we are going to actually make our, okay, let me press this and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is our block. Now what we're going to do is we are going to get our long pieces and our little squares, and we're going to start making the border. So the top and bottom border needs the little E squares on each corner, so we're going to put those on first. Make sure you have them turned the right way. I didn't check that. This is when really good light helps, to make sure you're going to that edge. Okay, now we are going to put one of our strips on one end. And I have a little bit left over. I don't know if y'all can see that, a little bit hung over, but that's okay. I could trim it before I did this, but I'm not going to. Do try to make sure all my seams stay nice and neat. Now what I do, I'm not pressing yet because we have a big enough seam, like a big enough space in between these. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead, put the other strip on my block, make sure it is the correct way. Stitch. Squares to the end of our other white strips. This is actually a really easy block. I used to hate half square triangles, but the more I do them, the more they don't really bother me. Especially if you can trim. Like if you do a if you do a pattern that you notice that you don't have a lot to trim, cut the fabric like a 1/4 inch bigger, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch bigger than what the fabric, or than what the pattern says. That way you have room to trim. Okay, so we are going to press all of these we're going to press towards the white strips. So we're going to press towards the white, away from the low volume, towards the white here. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now because we pressed towards our white strips, we have a seam that's going to nest beautifully. And y'all, this really comes in handy whenever when your fabric is nice and starched and kind of crisp. This actually, it does make, I never realized, but it does make a world of difference. Like, I hate sewing with fabric that is not starched. I don't like it. It just, to me, it makes it flimsy and just, I don't like it. Also, I wanted to say, when you go to press these, especially these strips, do not press out. What I do is I set my seam, fold them over, and kind of crease, and then I put my iron straight on and then move it up. That way I'm not going out, because if you go out, you're going to distort these strips. And they're going to be wavy and all stretched, and it's not, it doesn't look good. So remember to press and not iron. And I say that because I struggled so much with that. I just, you automatically want to like iron it, not press. So I'm telling y'all that from experience there. Okay, we are going to press all of our, we're going to press towards the bottom and the top, and then I will meet y'all back over on my other camera. I'll be right back. Okay, so here is our square. I need to trim off some of these threads. I don't like having all those little threads hanging off. It just kind of looks messy to me. I don't know, is this, looks like it may be just a hair, an 1/8 of an inch over 12.5, which I'm not going to worry about it. But that is our block. I got all of my seams, but that when I messed that up when it folded over. But you can see how nice those seams look. And then, so this was a really, really easy block. I know I didn't want to talk to y'all, because I know there's plenty of people on here that know what they're doing, but I also know there's a lot of beginners. So I wasn't going to do the half square triangles on camera, but it's like, you know what? There's a lot of new beginners. There's a lot of new people. So I'm going to go ahead and show them that way if anybody needs that. Because sometimes I can watch one person and they sew beautifully, but then I'll watch somebody else and it just kind of helps. Turn that light down just a little bit. It's like really bright. It's gonna give me a headache. So I kind of wanted, that way you have different options. And I may have totally messed somebody up. I don't know. So let me know too if y'all like the way that I have that camera, like right there. It's not behind me. I'm gonna try to figure out how I can make it look like I'm sewing, but without kind of getting in my way. I'm gonna try to do that also. But our month 5 is already done. I just got this in yesterday and it is done. I can put it up and not worry about it till next month. And I think this is the first month, no, the second month I think that I have actually done what I was supposed to, because I think all the other months I have changed something up when it comes to the fabric. So I was like, I'm gonna stop doing that. Probably honestly should have done a darker block on this. I'm gonna have to change some of my fabric because it looks like it's all gonna be like green and orange. and then the blues, and then like charcoal type color. So I'm gonna have to add a second charcoal and blue in there because I accidentally have one too many green and orange. So I have to add something in there to kind of break it up. So there's not gonna be too many. Oh, I'm tired. So anyways, let me know how you like the angle of the camera on this one. Let me know if you have any questions. This is a designer mystery block of the month. They also are having sign-ups for next year's already, and I said I was gonna do that last night and I didn't, but I need to get that done that way I don't forget. I always sign up for the backing, and actually last year I didn't sign up for the backing, this year I did, and then I'll sign up for the backing next year too. I get the finishing kit, the backing, and then the block of the month. Just that way you have everything you need. So anyways, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind, if you like the videos. All my new subscribers, I'm so happy you're here, and I love all your kind words. So until the next one, I hope you'll have a good evening. Bye guys.